I didn't know that. Why did nobody tell me that? It's the most powerful when you look at frequency level. It has the most impact on everything we do, but we don't even know we have it. Us and everything else. The most powerful thing comes from your heart and not from your head. Yeah. And
Do you ever feel like no matter what you do, it's not good enough? Like perfect is the only standard, but you're still left feeling behind? Perfectionism keeps us stuck. It robs us of peace, of our joy, and the freedom to just be. That's why I created Beauty of Imperfection, Good is Enough, a guided workbook to help you let go of the pressure, quiet your inner critic, and start celebrating progress over perfection. Inside, you'll find tools that remind you your worth has never depended on being perfect. It's time to embrace the beauty of imperfection because good really is enough. Let me remind you, you are always worthy. You already are. Get your copy of my workbook today. Emotionally unavailable. Okay, so I was re-looking at your profile this morning. I'm actually really excited to have this conversation because the feeling that I get when I read about the work that you do, I'm going to simplify this in a way that doesn't quite capture it, but the energy that I get off of what you do really is so similar to what I feel like I do. And or even a better way to say it is I feel like I would have been somebody who really benefited from the things that you do because I classified myself as somebody who made all the right decisions for all the wrong reasons. I don't know if I'd classify myself like high achiever per se, but like because that's a word that's thrown around a lot and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I have friends who definitely are more high achieving than me, but I was very much only motivated by external validation. And then the other piece that really drew me to your messaging is that programming that we receive from home, from society, from our teachers, from media. Like, I'm really big on people understanding the programming that they are taking in from media. And so if I were to just capture what you do very simply, that was the part that really drew me in. But I would love to just know how you would frame what you're doing.
well, I can find myself in what you just said, but I would turn it around. It's the programming which leads to a focus on external validation.
Yeah.
Yeah? Because that is what people want. I call it fitting in, and fitting in means, in my definition, that you live someone else's life.
Mm.
You're living the life of your parents, of your teachers, of your bosses, of your spouse, and you're constantly focused outside. That's the external validation on, am I doing okay? Do they like what I'm doing? Do I get good grades? Yeah, so everything is focused that those people I just mentioned, that that you are meeting their expectations.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that especially parents are placing these expectations based off their own needs or what they perceive as needs?
Well, I can go from the premise that I think most parents have the best of intentions,
Mhm.
but most of the time that works out completely wrong
Mhm.
because I think it's a factor where what you said, it might be their own lead, but there's a saying where they are pushing their unlived lives on their children.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I know for myself, I remember, well, I mean, lots of times in my life I've thought, well, but I didn't have this opportunity. Like, you're so lucky to have this opportunity. We have to help you take full advantage because I didn't get this. And so, in my mind, I'm not framing it like unlived life, but I absolutely see where that is what I did. I don't behave that way anymore. I don't see my kids now as a reflection or an extension of me either. I see them as their own human selves, and I'm just here to kind of like support their journey. Uh Figuring out where I am in that journey is still tricky for me, like how much support, how much advice, any of those things. That's still a little tricky, but I think the key piece for me was realizing like they're not here to serve any purpose for me. They are here for their own purpose and their own journey, and I don't get to dictate what that looks like. And we're much happier now that I've come to that conclusion.
Yeah, I can imagine. But it's like I would add to that what played the role, at least with my parents. I assume that's still the case more or less these days. It's also status.
Mhm.
It's also culture. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, my parents were both from 1932, so that gives you
Oh.
an idea where they were coming from. But it was for them, it was kind of a must that you marry, and it was a must that you get children, and that your children are successful because your children are yours. Mm?
Mhm.
So it's a reflection of who you are and what you do. So if your children fail, you fail. Yeah, and that's not what they wanted. Huh?
Right. Well, especially maybe some failures are okay as long as nobody knows about them. Appearances were crazy important.
Yes, but also how you performed at school, and well, I mean, in my case, in everywhere. Yeah, in sports, in cleaning up the house, in doing the garden, everything. I had to meet their requirements.
Mhm. Yeah. So at what point did you wake up and realize this is not the life I want to live?
Well, already as a kid, I thought my youth was extremely lousy. Well, it's nothing compared to what I read about your experience, but it's but I was you're stuck because you cannot say like a kid of 12 is like I'm gone by. Yeah, so it's you're dependent, for your
Right.
food, your house, everything. Yeah, so well, actually, now come to say is that I don't know how old I was, but maybe 13, 14. I don't know. We were on a holiday in France, and obviously there was in the car, and I think back home, but and they were fighting, and as usual, I was to blame because I had a younger brother and sister, and they were, well, very difficult. So it was like, let's blame Arnold. That's easier. So
Mhm.
I was so fed up. I literally, so this was somewhere in the middle of France. We were standing. I opened the door and I left.
Oh, wow.
And I still can recall that it was not planned for me, and it was not like, I'm gonna play this out. It was like, I'm gone. Mm.
Wow.
And, well, obviously, they got back and pulled me in, whatever. But my feeling was really like, I've had enough of this. So that shows that from a very young age, I had that feeling.
Yeah. Was there a sense of like, I don't belong here or I'm different than these people? Like, because a lot of people say things like that, in their family unit, and it sounds like you were the oldest child, so they really bear the brunt of some real shit. But, um, just that sense of like something's missing here or something because I just don't feel like this is where I'm supposed to be.
Well, generally, I still have that feeling is that I I feel really nowhere really at home. Uh,
Really?
I I've I have I don't have a house. I'm renting it, but you know what I mean. Is like for me,
Mhm.
there's a difference between a house and a home, and I never felt I feel at home here. I
Oh.
even don't feel at home on this planet because I'm coming to the conclusion that this is a prison planet, and I feel like a prisoner. I feel like a slave, like everybody else. But I sense that very deeply.
Yeah. Uh, are you, spiritual at all?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. So, you feel more connected to your higher self in a different plane than you do here.
Well, I hope that they're, yeah. I must say, people, I'm consciousness or a state of awareness where you're out of this crazy world where you're embodying this meat suit, which is extremely impractical. And
Mhm.
I recently asked a friend and said, imagine you were going to what you have in the US design school. Yeah, you name Stanford Design School or whatever name, top level design school. And they would ask you and they give you an assignment or a project and say, design a human. Would you design a human as it is today? Well, basically nothing about it. Yeah. So it's really stupid, and it takes so much time and effort and maintenance. It's really, really weird. Yeah? So in that sense, I'm like, no, it's
No, I get
and
that.
that impacts so many people because it's so time consuming, but also so much of your energy gets there. Like, yeah, it's like you gotta eat, well, 2, 3 times a day. You gotta buy food, you gotta prepare food, you gotta wash the dishes, you gotta then you gotta go how many times you have to go to the toilet per day, yeah, or you all these things, if it adds up, you're just like, "This is crazy." No
Yeah,
animal has that. Yeah, so it's like, why did they make us like that?
right. No, yeah, I feel that, and also, like, the part I feel really deeply is it's so unfair that other people's free will can impact me so greatly. Like, my free will is doesn't exist in a world where free will is oppressing me because they get the right to and I don't. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I understand that. There are often times that I'm like, yeah, I'm not really afraid of this whole thing ending the way I used to be because I do feel really connected to my highest self. And so in a not in a way that I have trouble grounding in this reality because I don't. Lord knows the emotions can really come for me, but there's just I think it does give me hope that I do believe really firmly that I'm here for a purpose and that I'm living in that purpose. So I think that really helps me.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So what are you doing on this brain work? Like brain like IQ, EQ stuff? Like I just saw that you really work on like brain fitness.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing is, I call it brain fitness,
Mhm.
just like people are now very well aware of body fitness,
Mhm.
that you need to exercise, move, and it's not even so important what you do as long as you do something. Yeah, but
Mhm.
it's like, and it's people are becoming aware. It's not only going to the gym and pressing a lot of weight. It can be playing tennis or swimming or walking your dog or yeah, but it's strength, it's endurance, it's but also people understand it's the food you eat, it's your sleep, it's everything which impacts your body, but that also impacts your brain. Yeah, so
Mhm.
so I have a very holistic view. Is like, hey, we also need to be working on our brain, but by the age of people are 20, 25, they stop working on their brain. Before that, there was the educational system. You go to school, you have maybe vocational training, maybe some practice, whatever. But after that, people, well, they get into job or jobs. But mostly of the time, not much is changing. And
Mhm.
that's how it stays until you die. that is very, very detrimental to your development as a human being and your health and your performance and everything else. Just like the same it is with your body. If you suppose you're 25 and you stop walking, then after 2 months you cannot walk anymore. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's like we know for the body is like, yeah, we got to keep on using it, and but it's like, but it's not even big things; it's also small things. The last 8 years I took care of my mother. She passed away now, but I lived in her house because she had dementia and Parkinson. But at some point in time, she was in her 80s and she couldn't even open a jar of gin because she had no strength.
Mhm.
That is a, between quotes, a normal process because when you're that age, you're in the end of your 80s and everything. If you do nothing, what she did nothing, it declined.
Yeah.
But if she would have been doing some kind of strength training, she would still be able to open up that jar of jam. And that's the same for your brain. And your brains, we actually get three brains.
Mhm. You wanna explain that?
Yeah, when we talk about brain and people talk about mind and brain, which are actually two different things, in my opinion, they're not the same. But I totally am convinced that we have three brains. The one thing which we refers to our head, beneath our skull, there's some bone, and then beneath it, there's this lump of meat which we call the brain.
Mhm.
But there's also the heart brain, and there's also the gut brain.
I'm
And this,
familiar with gut brain. I am not familiar with heart brain.
well, may I recommend to you and your listeners and viewers that is actually the most important brain we have. But exactly like you, I didn't know that. Why did nobody tell me that?
Yeah.
It's the most powerful when you look at frequency level. It has the most impact on everything we do, but we don't even know we have it.
Yeah. What is it?
Yeah, it's your heart is obviously, but that's the least important thing. It's an organ which helps to pump your blood through your system, but it has all the characteristics of a brain,
Mm.
and it's even has the energy which we emit. Yeah, we all emit energy. Yeah, that is what you can see in auras and everything else. The most powerful thing comes from your heart and not from your head. Yeah. And
Mhm.
your heart brain knows, your head brain thinks, and your gut brain feels. Yeah. So
Yeah.
thinking, feeling, knowing. But because you could consider. And I was in the same position, yeah. So I'm not any better than anyone else. I just studied a lot. Is that until a few years ago, I didn't know we had a heart brain. So how could I use my heart brain? And how could
Yeah.
I practice it and learn it and use it? And I'm now doing some practices every day, and there are amazing things happening. And
Would you
I
mind
totally
sharing one of the
ignored
heart
it or
brain
didn't know it
practices?
was there, so I couldn't use it.
Sure, exactly. What are one of the things that you're doing for that? Like on it for your hygiene?
There is a very good book. It's called The Heart Math Solution. It's already, I think, by the end of the 90s written, but it's still very
Wow.
available, and that's
Yeah.
got a lot of practices. And one of the practices that you deeply think about something you appreciate, and the appreciate doesn't have to be as like I graduated at university, or I got married, or I got a promotion. It's like appreciation is more also, I think, at least is my thing, is like small things in life. Is like,
Yeah.
um, if you go in that energy, it's just a 10-minute exercise and feel that energy of what you appreciate from yesterday or today or the nice meal you had, and then you share that with the world.
Yeah, I love that. And do you do, brain like, other practices, like, for your thinking brain and your gut brain?
Yes, I to the people who follow my training, I have a what I call a daily ritual where you have certain questions and practices which you preferably do at the start of your day and at in the evening, where you in the evening you more reflect on things. How did that go? How did that work out? And in the morning it's also to well, to prepare you for the day and put you in the right mindset and do these things. But it's also like do some physical exercise, make sure you eat healthy. Mm. So all of these things combined, I'm totally and that is something unfortunately promoted by society is the silo approach of everything in our life is like yeah, is like they treat us people like a car with parts, and it's like, hey, it's this part is no longer. Oh, so then we have to repair or put in a new part over there, and then it works again. But the human body and the human brain doesn't work like that because everything is connected. Yeah,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
that
I'm
is
having to learn that the hard way because the other side of 40 is crazy. Like, I remember a friend turning 40 and she's like, "You just keep acting like it's a magic number." And I'm like, "It is, and it starts almost immediately. Like, things change, especially in women. Our hormones drive so much of how we feel." And so, like, yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm really needing to get back into strength training because I have lost so much strength. And then like I'm glad that I've started using my brain in a different way. Also, I live a more present, intentional lifestyle now, so I'm more in the moment instead of off in la la land and then getting, lost in my own house. So those things don't really happen anymore, but I understand what was happening when they did. But like I'm acutely aware of the changes I need to put into place to really maximize what my brain and body can do for me.
yes, but again, just like the heart brain, if we don't know we have it and if we don't know what it does for us, except the pumping the blood, what we think happens kind of by itself,
Mhm.
then how can we use it? How can we apply it if we don't know it? So, and that is true with so many things. What I just shared about using your brain, people, well, like myself, they're so happy that they finished their education or their schooling, and like, yeah, all these exams and everything. You're like, oh, finally, I'm gonna get rid of this. I'm gonna work. I'm gonna earn some money. I can get out of the house. I can maybe buy a house. I can buy a car. I can go on holiday. I can get married, have children, whatever you want. So it's a huge moment when you shift from that, and then people are like, I'm really done with this. So
Yeah.
that means for the rest of your life, you're not doing it. And
Mhm.
that is the same like I got my right hand, and for the next 60 years, I'm not going to use it. Yeah, then it's not going to work anymore. Mm.
Mhm.
So that's the same with your brain. That's the same with your head brain. That's the same with your heart brain. That's the same with your gut brain.
Yeah. Whew. Such a tough lesson to learn though.
Yes, but there are so many lessons which, unfortunately, we don't get taught by our parents, by the educational system.
Mhm.
And that is very detrimental. Yeah, so I'm trying to well teach people all of these things because they're very very important for your health and well being.
Yeah. Do you feel like they really improve your mental health?
Totally, totally.
Yeah.
But the focus is too much, and that's the phrase which is used is like, yeah, the mental health, and it's a huge umbrella in the world, yeah, and it's like you get physical health, and all the rest is mental health. Yeah?
Right. Yeah.
But mental is a word which is derived from mens mentis, and it is Latin, and it means the mind. And I already said, in essence, that's wrong, because your mind, I think, is something outside of your body. It's like the cloud with computers, where everything is stored in memory, and you constantly connect with it. And your brain is your receiver and transmitter of that information. It processes things. But the main thing is like, you should, well, yeah, yeah, there are some key elements in our health and well-being which are not taught, so you cannot use them and you cannot apply them, but later in life they will impact the fact that you were not using them.
Mhm. That's so true. Nobody You don't know the problem exists because no one ever told you that the problem exists. You don't know what the solution to the problem is until one day you have the problem and you aren't even aware of what the problem is, and nor do you know what the solution is. And you have to figure it all out on your own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, no, it's true. But so, like the way that I pacify myself sometimes as a parent over the things that I've done wrong is well, maybe that's part of this human experience, is that your parents mess you up a little bit or a lot and you figure it out. So I'll just file that under part of the human experience. But there's so many things that I think of all the time that I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't teach them that, because you know how things become just so second nature to us. So there's like all kinds of things that, because I have a 22-year-old and an 18-year-old. I also have an 11-year-old, but she has a different level of dependency for me. But like the boys, the older ones, it's all the time where I'm like, oh, I didn't teach you that, and I'm learning what I didn't know before, which is like, th- these are the things that you have to teach and for kids to figure certain things out. But at the
But
same time,
Melissa,
probably nobody taught me either. So,
yeah, it's like you are kind of blaming yourself, which is not correct, because how can you teach someone when you don't know it yourself, when you haven't learned
mhm,
it yourself? Hmm?
mhm,
I I am sharing the last couple of years what I know about brain fitness, but I wish I knew it when I was 12 years old. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and I wish I had this. Well, that my career in is started in the and ended in the brain fitness thing, but I didn't know. So how can I teach something that I don't know? I can I can teach you to play field hockey. I played it for 35 years. I was the youngest certified trainer coach in the country. By the way, in field hockey, I'm Dutch. Both men and women are Olympic champions. If it's at a high level, so I can teach you that. But I cannot teach you to play what you guys call hockey, which is ice hockey. I never played it, so how can I teach you that?
yeah. That's so true. Thank you. There's lots of things that, and I also think that learning to give myself compassion for those types of things is how I can give compassion to my idiot caregivers that I grew up with, because they didn't know either. Like nobody had the information that we have at our fingertips, or at least the whole package. Like I feel like you're saying that one book was around in the 90s, and I'm like, whoa, really? I guess if I were to look through some psychology texts, there would be some of the information I know to be true now. But I feel like all of it came together in the last 10 years for us to have a true understanding of emotions, the tie between emotions in our brains and our bodies, how to make them all work together. Nobody had that information, and they certainly didn't have the information that if you spank your children in a certain way, over a prolonged amount of time, it will cause this trauma. Or if you know, punish by putting your kid in a dark room, or, a lot of the things that the kids in my generation experience, I believe wholeheartedly that if it hadn't been done to them, or worse, hadn't been done to the generation that raised my generation, or if they had better information that said, no, I can show you this is what will happen, I have to believe a lot of them would have made different choices. I made much different choices, but I can't say a lot of them had a lot better impact because I was uninformed. And so I now understand better. I do better. And I think just extending that compassion to ourselves, each other, as much as you are willing to, like I was just talking to a client about last night about forgiving the unforgivable because of a guest that I had on the other day. And, you know, they may not ever forgive some things, and that's up to them. I don't need to judge it or whatever. I just witnessed their experiences. But, for me, I'm able to forgive so much easier because I can look back and say, if I didn't have this information, I'm 45 and I only got this information, the information that saved my life has only been, in my world for a couple of years. So, but even going back 10 years, well, we're doing our best now. And that's what you and I are doing, is trying to spread this so that more people get this awareness and continue to do better and better and better. But you're exactly right. I mean, we all have to stop and pause and give ourselves some compassion for the things that we didn't know. I mean, we couldn't have known.
Yeah, or things which were, let's call it habits in your family. The chance that you develop the same habit is very big. Let me give a simple example. I'm currently living in Romania, and
Mm,
I was really surprised when I just came here how many people smoke,
yeah.
from young children to extremely old people.
Children smoke there?
Yeah, when they're 16, 17, I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
But it's like, but I can criticize that and say, why is a kid nowadays with all the information available, why they're smoking? But my parents actually stopped smoking when I was born. So it's like, but if they continue smoking, I would be smoking. So it's like,
Mhm.
it's yeah, and it is more. I saw a documentary a while ago where both his mother and his father were drug dealers. So there were people coming in their house buying and selling the stuff and everything else. Yeah. So
Mhm.
guess what? That person became a drug dealer. Well, you can blame them and say it's stupid, but it's like that's where they were 7 days, 24 hours a day. So that is a normal thing. And
It
so
feels safe for them. Yeah, that's comfortable. Absolutely.
so it's like everything is like, what is the example? What do you see every day? That is why I say to people, what I just shared, these daily rituals are so important because what you do every day has the most
Mhm.
impact on your life.
Yeah, and especially because what we know about our subconscious and all of the ways it will sabotage you to try to keep you alive, and I am learning how strongly I react to new. And when you are faced with something like that, especially if you had a very reactive nervous system the way I did, um, I have learned how to recognize that something is very triggering for me. And I am talking very normal, mundane stuff for anybody else. I find myself in the middle of like, oh, I feel shaky. I don't know why this feels weird. And then I'm like, okay, I'm expanding my container. Obviously, something about this feels dangerous to my brain. So I'm just going to remind myself that there is not danger present in this and that I can do new things and nothing's going to happen that will hurt me. And so I have to work on that a lot. That I'm thankful for the connection with my body to feel those sensations, because before I truly did not. I had no idea all of the physical responses my body was having to stimuli all day, every day, and I was so unaware of it. I could register chest pain when I was very anxious, like my chest would hurt, or real just deep pain would hurt my chest. Other than that, I didn't feel sensations in my body because I was so tense and in my brain, just la, 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 off in la la land arguing with someone inside my brain all the time. And so we get accustomed to our normal routines, and I think that we have to almost switch it up a little bit every now and then just to continue making new neural pathways, stretching, growing. I really think there's something to some of those people who really aren't very regimented. They'll they are, but they'll switch it up intentionally, like a schedule, and then switch it, like, reverse the whole schedule just to keep their brain able, I guess, to switch on command instead of freaking out and making you feel like you're going to die from a small change in your schedule, which, by the way, used to be me.
Yeah, but that is extremely important to keep your brain agile, I would say, is to regularly have new habits and changes and new stuff you learn, new stuff you do. That is extremely important because otherwise, yeah, it's the entropy which well, you're basically getting stuck in your old patterns, and some of them might be good, but a, a lot of them are not. Yeah, and so you have to train yourself to change and to try
Yeah,
continuously.
absolutely. Well, before we wrap up, is there anything that you want to shout out about what you're doing, or any kind of final words or something you feel like you didn't get to touch on that you'd like to?
Well, I would like your viewers and your listeners, three things which they I hope they will keep from this dialogue is: number one, live your own life; number two, love yourself unconditionally; and number three, we just discussed, do something new. And it doesn't have to be like I'm going to study Chinese. It can be like prepare a meal with different ingredients than normal. It
Yeah.
can be, if I go for a walk, I take this route. Well, take another route. And so it's like simple thing. And so that is what I hope that people take away from our conversation. They can find me at my website. It's called Braingym.fitness, Braingym.fitness, where I have 3 products at the moment. I have a flagship training program, which is called From Fitting In to Flying Out. That's what we have been discussing today. It's a 15-week training where we have one live session with me where I train you on all these aspects, how to do this. It's one session of 90 minutes each week. So it lasts over 15 weeks because you have to apply it and use it and form new habits in your life. The second thing what I have is master classes. Those are videotapes where I have set up kind of a personal workshop with you around specific topics like your uniqueness, your emotions, your curiosity, new habits. So those are the master classes. And I just finished a new book which is called The Adventures of Dr. Alfred Moore. It's a what I call a tale of transformation, which
Ooh, I like that.
is a story of a traditional doctor who became a social entrepreneur.
Oh, I love it. Well, I have loved having you. I loved meeting you. I'm so glad that we got to have this conversation. And I will make sure that I include all of that in the show notes as well. Thanks for coming to Emotionally Unavailable. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and share.